All right, morning, everybody. It's Fast Cars, Fast Money. We're talking about the Kansas Cup race. It's going to be a pretty quick video. We got quite a busy day and got to run and overslept a little bit longer than I anticipated. So we're gonna run through this pretty quickly. So looking at today's slate, you got Hamlin, Larson, Reddick, Byron, Truex, and Bell up there. For me, I'm going to be really high on Hamlin, Larson, Reddick, and Byron. Now, most of my lines, I'm going to have at least two. You could even potentially build a line with three of these drivers if you want, depending on how low on the slate you want to go. But Hamlin has just been incredibly good in general this year, but especially on the intermediate tracks. I think he's led laps in almost every single race, if not every single race that we've been to this year. Starts 14th. There's a lot of place differential upside there, a lot of lap leading upside. He's the most expensive play on the slate for a reason. So really like Hamlin a lot. He's pretty good in practice. He had the longest 25 lap average as well. So it's suggesting that his cars could be pretty good on the long run. Now, Larson is nice because he most likely is going to be your early lap leader. Yes, there are some good cars to start in front of him, but Larson has been just a complete rocket ship on the intermediate tracks. We saw him run extremely well at Texas and extremely well at Las Vegas. That type of speed should carry over to Kansas today. And because he starts fourth, the chances of him leading laps and getting to the lead are a lot higher, or the chances are more likely to happen sooner, especially than Hamlet, Reddick, and Byron. Now, Reddick is another player. Admittedly, between the four of these guys, I'm high on. I'm getting to Reddick the least, but I still have a good amount of Reddick in my lines. So Reddick is another driver that's pretty good on the intermediate style tracks. He has the fastest car on the short run looking at practice. Was not able to replicate that speed for qualifying. However, he still gives us, some place differential upside. So I would rather probably play Hamlin and Larson over Reddick, but I still like Reddick quite a bit and still have him in a good chunk of my lines. And then Byron, I'm going to be really, really high on Byron. He had one of the best cars in practice. Unfortunately for him, and maybe fortunately for us for DFS, and he kind of screwed things up a little bit, but got a little over aggressive, went into the wall, got some damage, still qualified a couple of cars too, which I thought was kind of funny. That car should be okay. They think they're going to be able to repair it. They still think they're going to have good speed. They're going to be checking the toe, all that, the stuff for concern. So there's a little bit of concern that, hey, he's not going to have the same type of car and speed that he had that we saw in practice. But it's a Hendrick Motorsports car, one of the most dominant cars in the series, starting 36th. There's a lot of place differential upside. So if you are playing Byron, I like pairing him with, Hamlin, Larson, or Reddick. Truex is fine. I like the four drivers ahead of him. So I just, if you're playing Truex, you're sacrificing one of those top plays. And for me, I'm just so much higher on those top plays than I am for Truex. So because of that, I'm just not really getting to him. Christopher Bell starts on the pole. He's just been having terrible luck recently. And we see that the pole sitter usually gets a decent amount of ownership. So I do think he's going to run strong. I do think he's going to lead laps. I'm just so high on Hamlin, Larson, Reddick, and Byron that I think once they quote unquote take over, if they are able to do that, I just don't really see how Bell's going to, slot in there. Now, Elliott's a little expensive for me, starting ninth, kind of is a tough range for him. I don't really know how much upside he has with starting ninth. I don't think he's going to have a car to lead laps. He doesn't really give you a lot of place differential upside, and he's expensive. Now, Bubba Wallace is expensive, but I do like him. Starting 23rd, maybe you play him over Reddick. I don't think Wallace has the same lap leading upside as Reddick, but he gives you some nice place differential upside, and he's pretty good on these intermediate tracks. So, for me, it's really how do I get as many Hendrick cars, JGR, or 23XI cars, 2311 cars into my lines. Those are really the best teams right now. And those are the teams I think you really want to build around. Gibbs and Chastain. Gibbs was pretty good in practice. The issue with him, he has a tough starting spot. So not a lot of place differential upside. He's decently expensive. Don't necessarily know if he can be a lap leader. I think he might clock off some fast laps. But the times are encouraging. The tough part is where he starts. If he started a little bit further forward, I think he could be a lap leader. you start a little further back, hey, he gives you some place differential upside. It's kind of like Elliott there, just kind of in a tough range. But I do like Gibbs just based off his practice time. So I did bump him up to medium for that reason. Now, Chastain's usually pretty good on the intermediate tracks. Again, he just starts second. So kind of the same scenario as Christopher Bell. Good chance to lead laps. I think could be a strong contender early in this race. We know how hard it is to pass. I'm just so high on Larson. We've seen how dominant Larson has been. And Larson's only one row behind these cars, and Kansas has multiple grooves. So I don't think it'll be too long before Larson gets up there and gets some clean air and takes that 5 car to the front. Kyle Busch, kind of similar, times to Ty Gibbs. I just prefer Ty Gibbs based off the team that he's on right now and just the momentum that, that team in general has compared to RCR. RCR has kind of struggled this year. Now, Blaney, historically, Blaney's run pretty good at Kansas. However, this weekend, the team just looks a little off. His practice times were not great. His qualifying times kind of matched those practice times, just, starting in the second half of the field. But he's only $8,600. If you need a cheaper place differential option, maybe a cash games play, I don't mind Blaney, but I'm probably going to be a little underweight on Blaney for tournaments. I'm not getting to Logano today. I think he just kind of stalls out where he runs. I really like Alex Bowman. I don't know how many people are going to play Bowman, and he didn't run a lot of laps in practice, which is concerning. But recently he's been running really well. We know how good Hendrick has been this year, and he's only 80, $8,000 starting 18th. So, a little bit of place differential upside. He gives you some salary relief. And I don't really know how many people are going to play him. So I think he makes for a nice tournament option. I do like Brad Keselowski. If you need a cheaper place differential play, I think Keselowski's in play. Most likely he's going to finish anywhere between 15th to 18th. Starting 30th for $7,700. That would be a pretty good day for him. Not great speed, but this team usually is able to figure it out. Now, Chris Buescher usually runs very similar to Keselowski. I just not playing Buescher really just based on where he starts. Noah Gragson continues to, um, you know, just show how strong he is in qualifying. I don't know what this team has found recently to, run up front. Again, there's just DFS starting third, SHR, Noah Gragson. Don't really know if he can maintain that. Most likely he's going to fall back. So, super aggressive play if you're playing him. I just don't really see the upside. Suarez, I think you could argue, very similar play to Ryan Blaney. Should be decent. Most likely can get you a 20th place, 18th, 20th place finish. I think Ryan Blaney has a lot higher upside than that. Suarez just is a lot cheaper. So if you need another cheaper cash games, place differential position, for your lines, I think Suarez is in play. Briscoe starts 10th. I think he most likely runs around there or drops back. Josh Berry, decent times in practice. He starts 17th. So of the 4 SHR cars, 3 of them had speed. Josh Berry being one of those cars that had speed. He starts the furthest back. So if you need, an option there, I would probably lean Berry. But Gallon Cindric started a little bit too far forward. Stenhouse, I don't mind. We've seen him run decent on these intermediate tracks. He kind of backed that up in practice and qualifying. It's a little risky starting 21st, but hey, if he can get you a 15th, 16th place finish, for that price, it's not a great day. But the chances of him finishing high compared to some of these other plays down here are going to be a lot higher. Not getting to Austin Dillon, Ryan Preece, I think a lot of people are going to play him. Starts 32nd. The issue is he's just one of the slowest cars in practice, especially compared to how fast his teammates were. So maybe you could make the argument that they'll translate some of the notes, some of the gains, some of the setups over to that car. They'll improve. But, slow times in practice and really slow time in qualifying has to be concerned. I think a lot of people are going to play him too. Carson Hocevar, I think, is in the same boat as Stenhouse. Can get you a good finish. Most likely he's going to run, well compared to these back markers. He just starts a little bit far forward. But again, starting far forward kind of shows that, hey, this is a decent car. Jimmy Johnson always seems to have issues in these next-gen cars. I don't want to play him. John Hunter Nemechek starts 29th, so it gives you some place differential upside. All he really needs to do is stay on track and clock off laps. And as other cars have issues, he can easily get to a 20th, 22nd place finish. Not great, but, it'll be okay. I don't really think there's too many like slam dunk plays down here. That's kind of why I have a lot of them at low and medium. I'm just gonna be mixing them around. For me, I think it really comes down to, what top plays up here are going to hit and, what combination of them is going to work out the best. So that's where most of my lines are focusing on, trying to hit the lap leaders, the dominators, and then kind of round out my lines with what salary I have left. Corey Himes in the car again. Pretty impressive what he's been able to do so far. Just TFS wise, there's just still too much risk. Austin Hill starts 34th, so there's a lot of place differential upside. Wasn't that good in practice. He was running like 30th or so. So it gives you a little bit of upside. And again, maybe some cars wreck out. Maybe he can get you a 25th, 26th place finish. Not going to be a great day, but we'll take that as a punt play. Now, LaJoy was top 20 in the 10 lap average in practice. Most likely that's going to be, the ceiling of where he can finish. So again, some decent upside there, especially if you're paying up for, two of these drivers up here. You're going to have to come down here and find some value plays. So I like John Hunter Nemechek, Hocevar, Stenhouse, LaJoy. And then I'm not really getting to Smith, Hemrick, Burton, Herbst. If you played Daniel Hemrick last week, kudos to you, man. I did not. I was really surprised to see him get the finish that he did. Maybe that gives him a little bit of an ownership bump this weekend. Who knows? I'm just still too not interested, just based off of overall performance. Zane Smith starts 24th, a little too high up. Harrison Burton just is always slow. Herbst was very slow, even with Byron hitting the wall. Herbst still ran a slower qualifying time than Byron. Gilliland showed decent speed. So again, kind of like LaJoy and Hocevar, like a little bit of a riskier play, but hey, the finishing potential and the speed is there. Maybe he can maintain, stay on the lead lap, or, be in contention to get the lucky dog and get a better finish than he's really supposed to. Justin Haley, not good, pretty slow, but he starts 35th and he's only $5,100. So again, if you need some salary relief, that's who I would go to. And then we're not getting to Derek Krause. He was very, 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 very slow today. So that was a pretty quick video. Not a ton, really to dive into there, but support if you like this. Hey, liking, commenting, sharing, retweeting our content means a lot to us. If you watch these videos or if you're new here, hitting that subscribe button is also appreciated. We're getting closer to 1,000. If you want access to the spreadsheet or ask us questions or, get updates to the lineup as it approaches, the slate as it approaches, it's at Fast Cars FM. Then finally, hey, if you're having a good day, you had a good weekend, you just want to say thanks, throw us a couple dollars, $5 here or there, wherever, there's a link in the description or in the support tab there to do it. So best of luck today. Good luck. Hopefully we can end up on top and catch you guys next week.